Righty, good morning everybody. Here we are again, another iRacing season. GT3 cars round the somewhat tight and twisty Knockhill racing circuit. It's obviously a new one for most of us. I don't believe I've driven it before. I've done a few laps in this here BMW last night, just so I know which way I'm going. And I'm in VRS conditions using the VRS setup. So I'm going to do some laps, get up to speed, analyse some data, point out some, key areas of the racetrack for you all, and we'll see how we go. So let's see if everything works and if I can get out of the garage without crashing into the pit wall. You all know, you've all done it. Oh look, apparently I'm out the garage. That's cheating, isn't it? Oh, okay. Well, I drove out of the pits, out of the pit box earlier, but apparently not now. So who knows? Anyway, let us crack on. Looks like it's early in the morning game time. Let's see if everything works. Those of you that have been along before will notice new booties. Hello to new booties, new gloves, new seat, new skills. Who knows? Let's see what we can do. So, I'm sure everybody is aware, but Knockhill is the self-title, but I don't know of another premier road racing destination in Scotland. It's about the length of Brands Hatch, which is my local circuit. It's tight and twisty. It may not be best suited for big old GT cars. They feel big and heavy round here. But let's unleash one, see what happens. So here we go, up and over the hill. You can use the pit lane. You have to be a little careful as the drops away downhill. Get the car straight, turned in for whatever that's called. They've got names, some of them. This is where the lap is critical, the jump over the blind curb. Then the throttle application out of that uphill corner, down the only straight and into the braking zone, and we're back to the beginning. So, deceptively simple. Going to be difficult to find time. I feel we're going to plateau early in the piece. So let's warm up, get up to speed, see what we can do. Going to need to maximise the entry to turn one, but not fire yourself in so deep that you're out of control going down the hill. That's definitely where the time's going to be had. Use all the curb, try and cut it back late because you run out of road on the exit quite quickly, but you can use the curb. Minimise your wheel angle down the back straight, pick a braking zone, and there's precious few markers. And then try and get the car launched off the corner without lighting it up too much. Right, 47 flat is our opening gambit. Let's see what we can do. Bit of power over the hill, because the car's going to get light. You need to add a bit of stability to the rear. Okay, I think jumping the chicane's going to be difficult to do consistently, I feel. And we're looking for a 45.7 in this car to match VRS man. But let's get warmed up and see what we can do. .46.6. I think there is a need to flow the car. It's going to be controlled chaos, and that's just a single hot lap. What racing this thing is going to be like is tricky and sketchy, I should imagine. But you need to back the corners up enough, especially the tricky turns like over the blind rise back there, so that you're on throttle, a little bit of throttle as you go over them. It will keep the car moving forwards and it will help stabilise the racing car. Oh, that's deep. I'm using At the moment I'm using the marks on the road as a braking marker down into that hairpin. It's probably not best practice because in a race there's going to be people in front of me. I think we're going to need to jump that curb into turn 1, get the car straightened, power down out of turn 2. Bit of power to stabilise the car. Yeah, the more you can flow the race car over there, definitely the better. I feel like I'm being a bit of a wuss into there, which is making me turn in early, which is causing the problem on the exit. And then let's use maybe this bit of dirt on the outside. That might be too early. Might be able to get down as far as the gravel starting on the left there. We'll try that next lap. If we end up in the fence, so be it. So run the curb, bit of throttle. Falls away there, so you need to be a bit circumspect into the turn. Right, let's try wait until we get to the curb to brake. That was a bit better. And the time suggests the same. Right, here we go. Brave, brave, brave. Where the gravel starts there. Hot lap and defensive lap. I presume a load of you will have watched touring car racing around here. There's lots of sending it down the inside into the final turn. We'll continue to push the limits there until we find out what we can and can't get away with. And we can't get away with that. I need to experiment with the boundaries to find the off tracks, to find the slowdowns, you know, and just find out what the car will and won't accept over there. Because, oh, hello. Because that is definitely going to be where the lap time is won and lost. Too much curb. And for me, when working out a racetrack, especially a new racetrack, you need to try and experiment, but without ending up in the fence all the time. So there's a balance to be had. But some of the tracks that we know like the back of our hands, we've driven hundreds or thousands of laps round. When approaching a new track, it's important to spend the first little bit experimenting with different lines, because it's not, you know, it's just not locked into the muscle memory. Trying just to miss that red curb on the exit there, or on the apex of turn 1. Let's see if we can run through these. See, look, we can run straight through the bollards. So, like the old legacy Silverstone, ignore the big plastic things. The car will destroy them. I think up the inside is going to be better for the final corner, even though that's where the most camber is.
0.10 off your best.
Oh, car slid too much at the apex of turn 1. Yeah, it's put me wide. Right, well then let's use this lap to see what we can get away with. Seems nuts, but maybe that's the way. Righty. See if we can best our personal best. Power to stabilise the car. Tuck it in. Let's try and straight line this. Nice. That worked. Not sure you'd get away with that in real life, but we're not dealing with real life, so, you know. Well. Right, don't outbrake yourself, John. Might be a touch cautious. Yeah. Okay.
You're now 0.30 off your best.
Oh, too much curb. This track for me is about rhythm. It's so short that it all flows together. So my initial run out, I'm pushing the boundaries. I'm looking for what I can get away with, what my visual clues are for my turning reference points. So I was smooth through that one, and I'm 1300ths up. So, you know, I suppose it's the same with any track, but these little scratchers tracks, they call it in motorcycle parlance, is a fine balance between aggression and flow. You obviously need to maximise all of the road where you can, but the aggression needs to be controlled, because wide at any corner is just going to be disastrous for the lap. See, that might be too much curb, but it was quicker for now. Got to stop the car sliding around into there, so I need to be calm into that uphill right-hander. And we need to go and look at what I was doing on my best sector into the final sector, because I'm now losing time there. So brakes, neutral throttle over the curbs, car's sliding too much. Use the red stuff, try and miss the big curb on the inside. All of the wide into 3 started from turning into turn 1. Smooth into here, the car wants to slide. Yeah, smooth is definitely better in that uphill turn. They've all got names. I don't know the names. I apologise profusely. I'll do my homework. Whatever I did on my fast lap, I am no longer doing. So,
a tenth of a second off your best.
Right, so use the pit lane. Still slid too much on the way in. Need to back up. That was nice. Oh, shame I clipped the curb. There we go. Clark is turn 7. Thank you. I'm going to have to count them now to find out which one is 7. I'm a drummer. I normally go 1, 2, 3, 4 and the song starts. So let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this 5 and 6 then? Is that what we're saying? And then this is turn 7 here. Good, good. Right, well, we've done a 46.3, which I'm reasonably pleased with. So I'll unleash another one, but then I'm going to stop and have a look at the data. Oh, deep. There's a satisfying finesse needed coming out of the final corner, which is called
0.46, slower than your best.
Type faster, man. You know, you just can't boot it. The car will yeah, let's stop there. The car just won't accept it. Right, I like to have a look at my replays. Real radio hairpin. Oh goodness, yeah. That's the corner that keeps getting sponsored, isn't it? So it changes. Because I know, wasn't turn 1 like the Sayat curves for a while or something like that where it was sponsored. So let's have a quick look at the run. Can you guys see that? Yes. So I'm quite comfortably in the 46s. Nudging this down into the 45s is going to take some doing, I feel. Right, I have to use the camera controls on the keyboard. Looking for chase. And alrighty, let's see what we've done. So using all the road, oh yeah, that's probably too leery into turn 1. And the problem stems from here, from that slide. I'm wide through here, and then I don't get the car straight and far enough on the curb, and then the problem here has resulted all the way back from missing, from not hitting turn 1. So I think that's worth bearing in mind. That whole section is going to have to be treated as one, and I know I can ride that red curb, but I don't want so much brake on. I want the car less in yaw, because I mean that looks out of control and is out of control. Let's see how much we're taking through here. Wow, look at this. So we're taking all of the red, and then we can probably take all of the red on the other side, but the problem is you can't see it. So we'll see if that rings true when we look at the data. I keep hitting this. I'm turning in too late, too early, and hitting that red thing. I need to stop that. The car will arrest its speed a bit differently because it's going uphill at the apex, so you can brake a fraction later there. And then, right, where am I hitting the brakes? About where the gravel starts. So that's going to be my reference for now, so that I'm not looking. I was looking at this little speck on the road here, but of course if you've got someone in front of you, ain't going to be no good. And you can see the car sort of hop in the air as you come over the rise. It's obviously much steeper up the inside, so there's going to be legitimate opportunities to come down, get rid of that, come down the outside here and square it up off the turn. But I think for a hot lap that will probably be what VRS are doing. We'll have a look in a minute. And there we have it. So 43, let me grab my VRS stuff, and let's get into it. The usual caveat being I do have written permission from VRS to use their data to explain how I go faster. I am just not permitted, quite rightly, to share the setups and stream the lap guides. So here we go. A 46.3 versus a 45.7. So 0.6 of a second. Right. Well, it's going to be a nice short lap to analyse. So this is all good. Right. Okay. Let's crack into this. This is, I'll just do a quick synopsis in case people are joining us for the first time. This is the VRS telemetry analysing software. At the top here, you've got the sectors as it's split by VRS, and the time loss or gain. You click on them and you get the map and the controls, and then a load of squiggly lines. And what I'm looking for, and there are different ways of doing this, I'm looking for the speed delta, which is these two lines. I'm the dotted pinky line, and VRS guy is the blue line, although you can swap that round if you choose. And then I'm looking at these two are irrelevant to me, really. They don't relate to the fact that I've got a wheel and pedals in my hands. So I'm looking at the throttle here, the brake here, and potentially the steering angle. But 0.3 of a second, and we go along and we find out where those 0.3 were lost. This is turning over the crest. You can see the lines are incredibly similar. And as I said, the car was too much in yaw. It slid too much and I was a bit wide over that first crest. And the problem did not manifest itself there. The problem manifested itself here at turn 3. So you can see that where I'm fighting the car for control down the hill, I'm losing a bit of speed. And then because I positioned myself wide and turned in late, here is where the graphs deviate, and this is where the time was lost. And you can confirm this with the time bar here, but it's easy to see. So you click on it because depending on the length of the sector, these two lines may be wider or narrower, but you need to know exactly what. So you sort of click where the gap is. If you're watching on a phone, I apologize, it'll be hard to see. But here we go, 8.6k, 8.7k. So this time loss is all to do with turning into turn 3, but the problem manifested itself here. So I need to concentrate not on this part of the road, I need to concentrate on this part of the road and getting the car not so sideways down the hill. I'm just going to have a quick look and see what he does on the brakes compared to me. So let's play it through, and here are the controls. So we're off the brake off the gas at a similar time. I'm back in the gas harder and earlier. He's a gear lower, might be something in that. So yeah, small differences, big time loss considering that is half of the deficit. So the run up and over the hill, we said the reason why I use chase view and why I would suggest doing it is you can visually see whether you're using all the road or not. And as we saw from looking at it, I used all of the red curb on the way up, but missed the red curb as you go over the hill. So you can't see it, it's blind. It's going to be a case of trying to work out visually with the clues in your peripheral vision where to turn, or if you can nail the first section and you're coming out of here at the same time and with the same amount of throttle, you'll be in a rhythm. So if you can get that first section right, this section could be done purely on the rhythm of the engine note and where you turn the wheel and that sort of thing. But we can get into this. We can see the difference in the mid corner. Morning Barry, thanks for the follow, man. We can see the difference in the corner speed here was 8k's. That's manifested itself coming off the turn. So I might even be able to be ahead of VRS guy through this section if I can nail the first bit right. So you have to take the whole thing in bite-sized chunks to analyze where the differences are, but then you need to see the bigger picture, if you like. So, you know, at the moment this problem is causing this problem. So I know I got turn 1 wrong, which is the cause of the problem, so we'll get to that. But here is a representation of what's happening. I'm personally not looking to drive the car the way VRS guy does. I am using his data to work out what's possible with the car, because he's probably an 8 or 9k dude, and he'll have exceptional car control and know the limits of the race car. So I don't want to interrupt my own style, but I want to use his data to chase the times. So you can see we're quite different on the throttle. I brake a bit more. My steering trace is a bit smoother. He's steering more and catching the car. That to me isn't so important. The time loss is the thing I'm looking at. So it was good through there. Through turn, hold on, if there's 9, 6, Clark. Did we say Clark? Turn 7, yes. I don't think I'm getting through there very well at the moment, and I'm only 1 millisecond difference. I'm slowing the car down a bit more here. You can see he's going in a bit faster, and that's what I was saying when I was looking at it back. I hit the red curb on the exit of the corner, and it's because it's so steep uphill that you can brake a fraction later, because as you turn in, you've obviously got gravity slowing you down a bit. But from the mid corner, I'm a bit quicker. Huzzah. And you can sort of confirm this in the data trace. We're braking a similar amount. We're coming off the gas at a similar time. I'm harder into the throttle, which is, you know, the cause of the fact that I'm going quicker. It's not rocket science after all, is it? Right, I'm drifting wider than I need to down the straight. The reason why I look at the data is manyfold, but it's partly for things like this. I probably don't know I'm doing this. I should obviously be straight down the white line because I'm doing extra meters. And you have a natural rhythm when you drive. And this sort of thing, if you don't look at the data, if you just pound round and round, you might be doing some fundamentally silly things that would be really easy to correct. But because you've got so much other stuff going on, you don't know about it. You know, it's not obvious. Right, now the second biggest time loss is the final turn. So what am I doing differently? On the surface of it, not a lot. Here we see the throttle. We come off the throttle almost identical point. So we've seen that where the gravel trap starts, I know it cuts in here, but where the gravel trap actually starts back here near the wall is quite clearly a good braking marker. We can see here that although the graphs only deviate very slightly, the lines, it's 7.7k. And in a way, it's a bit difficult to see where that's come from. There's this tiny, I'm building the brake pressure a tiny bit faster. And then, you know, he's building the pressure slightly later than me. I'm holding it just this fraction more here. These tiny differences are making the difference in getting the car stopped down here. And you can see from the run off the corner, he's a fraction wider. I can't zoom in on the map, but you can just see the blue line. He dives at the corner a bit sooner than me, is a fraction wider, and maybe he's just getting off the, let's go back to this thing. What I was saying about the car sort of hopping when it gets here, if I'm maybe a car width further out, the camber's not quite so severe and I can get the power down. So when I go back here, I've looked through the lap. It's a really short lap. It's nice and easy. And there is only so much that you can work on at one time. So in my own particular case, I'm not worried about any of these graphs at the moment. We're not at that stage. I am looking to bring the deficit closer in these 3/10, and we know the problem is turn 3, but we also know the problem stemmed from me getting too sideways up here. So that is what I'm going to work on, turn 1, and then I'm going to work on my line into the final corner, and I'm going to try and drive everything else the same for the second run, as to not explode my brain with too much stuff. So let's go again. You can watch me drive into the pit wall. We've all done it. Safe. Yeah, I feel smug. I think it took me 4 attempts on my first go. Is anyone else like really over the box? Like, oh, we get to start from the pit box. Oh, I'm now really bored of that already. Right, so we know we're looking for the red curb, but that was too much curb. So let's try and not do that. We're also looking to miss that curb. Remember to drive down the white line because I was wobbling around. Here's the gravel on the left. And he turns in slightly earlier, squares the car up. Okay, I think that'll be better. Give me a lap or two to get everything warm, and let's see what we can do. So I'm looking to be smoother down here. Get the car stopped better. All fronts still aren't quite ready. I think that was a bit too much curb. Yep, or brake into the face. Yeah. Too much too soon. Don't drive down the middle of the road, John. And for anybody interested in process and things, anybody that's watched my streams before will know I talk about conscious versus unconscious brain. And in an ideal world, the purpose of your practice is so that when you get to a race, everything you do is automatic, so that you've got all of your mental capacity for the fight. So all of the stuff I'm trying to learn about the line and where to hit the curbs and how much curb I can take and all that sort of stuff, I need to turn on my conscious part of my brain. I need to actively, and if I have to tell myself, like here, don't wobble down the middle of the road, drive down the white line. I have to do that. Morning, thank you very much for the follow. I have to do that to the point where it becomes automatic. And it's to do with the speed of your reactions. In order to change your habits, you have to work on, you have to consciously work on what you're doing, because you know the race is the best place to know what your habits are. If you review your data from a race, if you're crossing your feet over, or if you are steering too much and taking the car past the slip angle, whatever it is you're doing, you know that it's become a habit and muscle memory when everything's going on in the first few laps of a race and the habit you've been trying to change is changed. It's easy to do in practice. There's nothing going on. You can just focus solely on, like for me, I'm working on turn 1. I will know that I've nailed it when I can look at my data in a race when everything else is happening around me, and if I'm automatically doing it with all of the chaos of a race start around, I know it's locked into my subconscious, and if I haven't locked it in, I need to do more practice. I'm going to try and trail lighter into Clark, turn 7, because there's definitely a decent lap in me, I think. Right, we're turning a little wider. Yeah, it's that fraction wider. It's maybe a car, it's maybe not even a whole car width.
You're currently
Makes a difference. Let's see what we can do. So, a little bit of gas over the curb to have the car driving forwards. Get it stopped. Falls away. Too deep still. Better, but too deep still. Bit hesitant on the throttle. Okay, see if we can get off the final corner better. Yeah, been a bit cautious on the way in, but definitely finding the drive on the way out already. So,
0.08 off your best.
there's potential here. Oh, too much. It's going to be easy enough to defend in a race, but we're looking for those final few tenths to match the VRS dude, which, you know, let's face it, is no mean feat. Nice run through Clark. Taking a 10th off. Ran a 46-second lap. I'll take it. Really need to brake earlier there. The track falls away. It sucks you in, or it's sucking me in, certainly. Just hitting that first curb wrong. I'm still not finding the red curb on the exit. And I need to brake 30 centimetres later. Morning, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Let's try and brake into the face of the hill a bit. Okay. The final corner is the passing place round here, really. So, you know, that's too much. What I'm trying to do, crunch. What I'm trying to do to set a lap time and what I would need to do to defend are obviously quite different things. The purpose of this is to try and extract as much lap pace from myself, but if we are talking race tactics. I mean, obviously here, if you pinch a half a car as you turn in, no one, you know, you dissuade someone from going up the inside. In touring cars, they pass here. It's going to be a tricky move in a GT car with more downforce. But this is where the track is going to vary greatly from a hot lap. You'll be down the inside, block pass. It's not going to be that much slower. So I might drive a couple of laps in a defensive manner and just see what that does to my lap time, just in preparation. Yikes. So let's hog the middle of the road there. Oh, too much curb. So I think with a bit of defensive driving, you could be seconds slower and hold people off here if you're so inclined. Depends, you know, it's not that much fun having someone sat on your back bumper, is it? But see, the cars feel big into that final corner. You put yourself up the inside, no one's coming past. It's just not going to happen. So what we're doing, 46.8. So again, we'll drive as if we're defending the line. Hit the apex nice. Oh, didn't take so much red curb there and on the entrance, and was able to gain a bit on the exit. Good to know. And then we'll drive defensively. As long as you don't outbrake yourself. I think there's a tick box, Phil. Morning, Phil. There's a tick box in the settings somewhere to turn the delta bar off. And if you are driving with the delta bar on, shame. Yeah, well, go on. It's a personal choice. I don't like it. And the reason why I don't like it is because I am approaching every corner as fast as I can take it. I'm not intentionally trying to go slowly. So if I've mucked a corner up to the tune of 2/10, I'm not gaining that back in the next turn. It's not possible. I'm not intentionally going through the next corner 2/10 slow. So, and I know some people have the delta bar as their sector bar, but anything that distracts you from eyes forward and looking at your next apex, to me is not an aid. It's a hindrance, even in practice. That's why I look at the data. I don't want a bar. I need to know what my flow is. I need to plot my way around the racetrack, knowing where I can hit the curbs and how hard. And that's, I'm looking for a rhythm with my feet, with my hands. I want to be able to drive the car. Yeah, that's why you want to turn it off. Yeah, fair. Yeah. It's definitely in the settings. I will have a look when I jump out the car, fella. Oh, look, until we hit the grass, we were on a good lap. And I was talking rubbish. Or, semi-rubbish. Which sort of confirms my point about the flow, doesn't it? The conscious versus unconscious brain. Once you've found... Oh, too deep. Once you've found the flow to the racetrack, you should be able to lap without it being a huge mentally taxing effort, because you've got the rhythm. Everything flows together. It's alright, Phil. I like questions. Questions is good. That slightly later turning makes a world of difference into that final corner. Right, let me see if I can go a bit quicker. And then we'll have a look.
Slower than your best.
Try and flow the car through there a bit more. Yeah, a bit earlier on the brakes. Brake earlier, go faster. It's unconventional. Just flow the car into there, pick the gas up. just about got away with it. And we're down to a 46.1. 100% in the setting. Sorry, 100% in the what setting? Right, let me go look. We're running the gauntlet this morning because I need to put some different batteries in the mouse, and I haven't, so anything could happen. Right, it's going to be here somewhere, isn't it? Yeah, look, here you go. So it's in the option tab. You've got display reference card, display delta bar, and there's probably a thing for it. So I have that off, as you can see, and I have it set to session best lap because I'm not interested in. You can cycle through with tab like session optimal, all time. So you need to be careful which one it's on. But for me, session best lap is all I'm interested. And it's simply an aid. I've put it down here for it to be a bit more friendly. I used to drive with it up here, so it's out of my peripheral vision, but I can check it. If I've tried it, if I'm experimenting with a different line or something, I can check to see whether that line has helped or not. Right, I'm just going to have a customary recce at the lap to see, and again, the reason I'm doing this is to see if it looks better, and then that gives me a visual clue when I go to the data. Because the data is a load of squiggly lines, it will give me a reference for places where the car slid and I feel that there's time to be had. If you then cross-reference that with the data and you're slower there, but also for, as we saw with the first run, if I make a mistake, you can get fooled into thinking you need to work on a particular part of the lap when actually your fastest lap just happened to contain a mistake. So let us go. So again, you can use all the pit lane without a problem. I can be a bit further over, but this is much better than the first run. I was sideways, and it's because I've cleared, you can see the brake lights, I've cleared the brake and I'm back on the throttle to drive the car over the curb. I probably braked a fraction earlier, yeah, as the nose gets to this front part of the curb that I'm pointing at and you can't see, which has hooked me up with the apex. So I was 3/10 down in that sector. I will expect that to help now. Yeah, try it with it off, Phil. Some of these things that are aids are actually detrimental to your development, and it depends what you want to do. Like, you know, if you want to drive with the racing line on and, you know, the brake markers on and all of that sort of stuff, I don't advise it, especially if what you're looking to do is be a better, more fulfilled racer. I've done a lot of years, you know, I've been driving sim 20 years and iRacing 8, but I can jump in all the cars because I've learned to feel the grip and work on a rhythm. So the car is irrelevant. It takes me a while to adjust to the speed I can pick up the gas in a Formula 1 car, or how much turning grip I've got in an F3 car or something. But the basic principles that I'm employing, trail braking, using all of the track, where I'm looking, all of that is the same. And anything that distracts me from looking further down the racetrack and at some graph or something is not, there's too much happening. You know, race cars are too on the edge for you to be looking at a red and a green bar and that to be of any use. Anyway, so let's have a quick examine. Oh, hello. What are we doing? There we go. Work on the controls. Been doing this a while. So we're up in the air. We're still using all of that, but I'm hitting it at a slightly different angle. And you can see that that has allowed me to just shorten the line a fraction. I mean, I was just missing that. So I'm, what, 1 foot further over? But I think that gave me a better run off there. Didn't hit that. See, there's still a bump there, isn't there? Oh, hello. Idiot at the controls, as usual. There's still a bump there, so maybe turning in a fraction wider will give you a better drive off, but that's all the road. I can do no more there. I think I took the car a bit further through the braking zone that time. Maybe not. But that half car width off the curb, and that gives us a 46.143. So not too shabby. So let's go have a look. I have to refresh it. I don't know why it doesn't work otherwise. And then what I might do is I might start comparing. Now I'm getting close to VRS Blokey. It becomes more about my rhythm than it does about his lines. So you use the data in whatever way you see fit. To start with, and just to add that I do have a VRS team. If VRS guy is too far away from your own, personal limit, if you're more than a second away on a 45-second lap, the chances are chasing his data will be of limited use, because he's got a fundamental control of the car that is 3 steps above your current level. You really need to work on it incrementally to get the best out of it. So you can always chase my data and anybody else that's in the team. You just need to DM me with your VRS email. So anyway, we were losing 0.3 in turns 1 to 4, and we are down to 1/10, and let's go and examine. So I'm turning in from a bit wider, so I would say that's better personally, but then I've watched racing around Knockhill for 30 years. Maybe the bloke that's driven this track doesn't know where he's going, so there's potentially more time in him. I hit the curb much better, which you can see here has meant I've got a bit more angle to play with down the hill. I'm able to brake the car straighter, and then the critical point where I was losing all the time, not only am I quicker in the mid corner, but I'm not losing anything like the speed on the way off the turn. So that is more better. And inevitably, as your lap chart, as your delta graph comes closer together, you should start to see things become more similar to the reference lap you're chasing. So in this case, the braking curve is almost identical here. Same with this one. I'm braking a little less for this corner here, which would be why I'm gaining a bit in the mid corner. And I'm also able to carry a bit more throttle. He's a bit more linear with the throttle. But this is where the specifics of the way he navigates the car, I'm not looking to replicate this. I don't know how it slid when he came over the curb. I know I'm on the same setup. I know I'm on the same track conditions, which is the important part. But the exact, look, you can see here, let me play it through. Watch the blue steering wheel. These VRS guys work the wheel a lot for these 1 laps. They're not particularly smooth. You can see it rock backwards and forwards, which enables them to, in motorcycle parlance, it's bite the screen. That one flat out, look at me, look how high I can pee up the wall fast lap. That's not necessarily going to be the fastest way to do a race lap. I prefer, where possible, to drive a bit smoother, but that's my style. If you get up on the wheel, by all means, get up on the wheel. Right, anyway, jumping over the curb. So I've gained a bit here. I'm still braking a bit more. I'm still smoother on the steering. I'm still losing a bit coming off the turn and in the mid corner. So I can see I'm a bit wide still. So I can still pinch a bit more. I can throw the car a little harder over the curb, and he's committing to the throttle here, which is allowing him to run off the corner better. So, okay, into Clark. I'm still losing a bit on the way in. I'm braking too much here. And, I've sort of deduced that by the fact that I'm up over this inside curb a bit too much. So maybe the braking point is right, as we can see here, but the braking amount needs to be reduced. So I'll try that on the next run. I actually get a better run off the corner, so I gain a fraction, and I'm still losing. The big chunk of my time is now into this final turn. So I'm still braking fraction early now. Right, so essentially when we go through the lap, turn 1, problem solved. Just need to be able to repeat that. The jump over the curb, I need to try and pinch a little bit more and see if that works. So that's the only thing I'm going to work on. And then my sole focus is this final corner. So we're starting to put it together. So let us have another go and then maybe jump in a Ferrari and see what the difference is. Nice. It's like a small victory every time you navigate the pits. Right, even though it's an out lap, I can sort of practice getting my eye in. Yeah, see, I reckon I can straddle that curb entirely. Brake less hard. Okay. So even though it's an out lap and my tyres are cold, the now ex-Moto Grand Prix commentator Keith Hewin always used to say, if you're trying to improve, if you're out there practicing and your laps are not teaching you anything, what are you doing? And for me, there's definitely something in that. Even if you blow a lap, you can work on a line, you can work on a rhythm, you can work on a braking point, you can try driving offline and being defensive, practicing for the race. You know, don't just drive round in circles, because the one thing that will definitely happen is you learn nothing apart from burning the fuel off. Right, here we go. Didn't lose a lot, but didn't gain any, so we'll work on that.
0.5 off your best.
Oh, that's too deep. And very wally. Okay. First crash at turn 1 though. Not too shabby. Brings up a point for me. I see a lot of people, especially when they're learning new tracks or they're newer iRacers, and they come out the pits and they crash a lot by trying to go too hard too early. I think it's detrimental to your development in quite a few ways actually, but largely you never get into the fabled rhythm that we're talking about. For me, it's better to creep up on the racetrack, and if you don't know it, poodle round, give yourself some references, start working on your corner exits and the line you drive, because you can work on the line maximising your turn in and where you hit the throttle. Look at that, great drive off the corner. And then you can work the braking points closer and closer. If you go out and you crash all the time, that must be frustrating as hell. You're not really learning anything. Didn't want to stick. Oh, I need some brake up there. So we can't take that flat or brakeless. Right. And I think the other thing about practicing is because you have to turn your brain on, it can actually be a chore. You'll get to a point, which I'm probably approaching already in this car, where I've maxed out my learning for this period of time. So I'd be better off turning it off, driving something else, and coming back to it later when you've been able to absorb the information I suppose that goes back to not just ploughing round and round for hours at a time, if what you're trying to do is learn. Still think a fraction wider. Would really like a 45. Whoop,
That puts you
that's the wall.
0.17 off your best.
Too deep. Shame. Brake less. Still less. Right, if I can't go any faster, I'm going to jump in the fares and see what the differences are. Will be quite a different proposition, I think, in a mid-engine car, and then even more so in the Porsche.
That puts you 0.15 off your best.
Yeah, it's not happening. Well, 46.1 I'm happy with. I will finish by practicing a pit entrance. And the move to the Ferrari. Where's the pit line?
Watch your speed. Watch your speed limit in the pits.
Pits are going to be fun in here, aren't they? Crazy stuff. Right, good show. Happy with that. Grab a bit of that.